What if your real problem is not that you do not know English, but that your brain has never learned to respond in English fast enough? You hear a simple question, you understand it, but before your answer arrives, fear, translation, and grammar all enter the room. Today, we change that. Have you ever had this experience? Someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" The question is easy. You know every word. You understand the meaning immediately, but your mouth does not move. First, your mind goes to your own language. Then you build the answer there. Then you translate it into English. Then you check the grammar. Then you worry about pronunciation. And by the time you are ready, the conversation has already moved on. You may think, "Why am I so slow?" You may believe you need more vocabulary. You may open another book, watch another lesson, and memorize another list of useful phrases. But the problem is often not a lack of English. The problem is the path your brain uses to reach English. Right now, your brain may be taking the long road. Question, translation, grammar check, fear, answer. That road is crowded. It is slow, and every time you use it, speaking feels like work. But there is another road. Question, meaning, response. That is the road fluent speakers use. They do not always create perfect sentences. They simply connect meaning directly to language. And that direct connection can be trained. You do not need a special brain. You do not need to be young. You do not need to live in an English-speaking country. You need repeated, simple practice that teaches your brain to respond before fear takes control. Think about your first language. If someone asks, "Are you tired?" You do not study the question. You do not search for the correct tense. You simply feel the meaning and answer. Yes, a little. No, I am fine. Your response appears because you have heard and used those patterns thousands of times. English can become more automatic in the same way, not through one long study session, through familiar questions, familiar situations, and repeated responses. Automatic English is not magic. It is memory built through use. It is a path you walk so many times that your brain no longer needs directions. Imagine a path through a forest. The first time you enter, everything feels difficult. Branches block the way. You move slowly. You stop often. But if you walk the same path every day, it becomes clearer. Your feet begin to remember. Soon, you move without thinking about every step. English responses work like that. The first time someone asks, "What do you do?" you may need 10 seconds to answer. After practicing the question many times, the answer comes faster. Not because your intelligence changed, because the path became familiar. This is why many learners can answer questions from a textbook, but freeze during real conversation. They practiced recognitions. They did not practice response. Recognition means you see a sentence and understand it. Response means you hear an idea and create language immediately. These are different skills. If you want to respond automatically, you must train response itself. Let us begin with something simple. I will ask you a question. Do not create a perfect answer. Do not translate every word. Just answer out loud with the first simple sentence that feels true. How are you feeling today? Say it now. Maybe you said, "I feel good." Maybe you said, "I am tired." Maybe you needed more time. That is fine. Now answer again. How are you feeling today? This time, add one reason. I feel tired because I did not sleep well. I feel happy because something good happened. I feel calm because I have some free time. Notice what we are doing. We are not studying the question. We are training your brain to connect the question with a response. The answer does not need to be impressive. It needs to appear. At the beginning, speed is not the goal. Connection is the goal. Once the connection becomes strong, speed arrives naturally. Many learners try to speak faster before their sentences are familiar. That creates pressure. They rush. They make more mistakes. Then they lose confidence. Do not force speed. Build familiarity. A sentence you have used 50 times will usually come faster than a sentence you learned 5 minutes ago. So the first method is simple. Practice the same useful questions every day. Not hundreds of questions. Choose 10 questions people actually ask. What is your name? Where are you from? What do you do? Why are you learning English? What did you do today? What are you doing tomorrow? What do you like to do in your free time? What kind of movies do you enjoy? What is one goal you have? How was your week? Ask yourself these questions. Answer them out loud. Then answer them again with different details. For example, what do you do in your free time? First answer, I usually watch movies. Second answer, I usually watch movies. especially on weekends. Third answer. In my free time, I enjoy watching movies because they help me relax. You are creating layers. The first layer gives you a quick answer. The second adds detail. The third gives you a reason. This is important because automatic speaking does not mean giving long answers immediately. It means having a simple starting point ready. Once you begin, the rest becomes easier. Beginning is often the hardest part. Your brain feels pressure because it wants to create the whole answer before speaking the first word. But real speech does not work that way. You begin with one sentence. Then you follow it. If someone asks, "Why are you learning English?" you do not need to prepare a speech. Start with, "I am learning English for my career." Then add, "I want to communicate with more people." Then add, "I also want to feel confident when I travel." One sentence opens the door for the next one. Trust the first simple sentence. Do not wait for the perfect paragraph. There is another habit slowing you down. Silent perfection. You may create many sentences inside your mind, but you refuse to say them until they sound completely correct. This feels safe, but it teaches your brain to hesitate. Every time you wait for perfection, you strengthen the habit of waiting. Instead, practice speaking before the sentence feels complete. Say the beginning. "I think, in my opinion, one reason is," the main problem is, what I want to say is. These sentence starters give your brain time. They help you enter the answer while the rest is still forming. Fluent speakers use them too. They do not always know the full sentence before they begin. They use familiar openings and build the idea while speaking. Practice these openings every day. Ask yourself a question. What makes a good friend? Begin with, "I think a good friend is someone who listens." Then continue. "One reason is that everyone needs to feel understood." Your first phrase gave your brain a few extra seconds. It also made the answer feel organized. This is how useful patterns create confidence. You are not memorizing a complete speech. You are memorizing doors. Each phrase opens a different kind of answer. "I think" opens an opinion. For example, opens a story. "One reason is" opens an explanation. "In the future" opens a plan. "In my experience" opens a personal lesson. "The good thing is" opens a positive point. "The difficult part is" opens a challenge. When these doors become automatic, you do not stand outside the sentence wondering how to enter. You simply begin. Now let us talk about translation. Many learners say, "I want to stop translating," but they try to stop by fighting their own mind. They hear their language and become frustrated. Do not fight translation directly. Replace it. Create direct connections between daily experiences and simple English. When you feel hungry, say, "I am hungry." When you cannot find something, say, "Where did I put it?" When you are late, say, "I need to hurry." When the weather changes, say, "It looks like rain." When you finish a task, say, "I am finally done." Your brain learns through connection. Feeling to sentence, action to sentence, situation to sentence. The more often these direct connections happen, the less translation is needed. At first, your own language may still appear. That is normal. Your brain has used that path for many years. Do not expect it to disappear in 1 week. Every English response creates a new path. Little by little, the English path becomes easier to use. One day, you will notice a sentence arriving before the translation. Maybe you drop something and immediately say, "Oh no." Maybe you open the fridge and think, "There is nothing to eat." Maybe you see the time and say, "I am going to be late." These small moments are important. They show that your brain is beginning to respond directly. Celebrate them, not because the sentence is difficult, because it appeared naturally. The second method is what I call instant self-talk. Throughout the day, respond to your own life in English. Do not only describe what you are doing, react to it. There is a difference. Description says, "I am making coffee." Reaction says, "This smells good." Description says, "I am walking to work." Reaction says, "I hope I am not late." Description says, "It is raining." Reaction says, "I should have brought an umbrella." Reactions train spontaneous language. They connect English to emotion, opinion, and decision. That is closer to real conversation. Your day gives you hundreds of opportunities. You do not need to create a special class. You need to notice the moments already happening. When something surprises you, respond, "I did not expect that." When something takes too long, respond, "This is taking forever." When you make a mistake, respond, "I need to try again." When you remember something, respond. Oh, I almost forgot. These short reactions are powerful because they are useful in many situations. Use them until they become part of your natural voice. There is another reason your brain may freeze. You are trying to choose from too many words. You know several ways to express the same idea. You ask yourself, which one is best? Then your mind becomes crowded. Automatic speaking grows when you trust simple language. Suppose you want to say that you are extremely tired. You may search for exhausted, drained, or worn out. But I am very tired already communicates the meaning. Use the sentence you can access. Do not stop the conversation to search for a more impressive word. Simple English keeps the connection alive. Later you can learn more natural expressions. But during speaking, communication comes first. Think of a bridge. A simple sentence is a strong, clear bridge. A complicated sentence may be beautiful, but if you cannot finish building it, nobody can cross. Build the simple bridge first. You can decorate it later. This does not mean your English will remain basic forever. When simple patterns become automatic, your brain has more space for detail. A beginner uses all their attention to create the sentence. A more practiced speaker uses less attention for structure and more attention for meaning. That is why automatic basics are so valuable. They free your mind. The third method is rapid answer practice. Choose 5 simple questions. Give yourself 3 seconds to begin each answer. Not to finish, only to begin. For example, what did you eat today? Within 3 seconds, say, I ate, then continue. Where would you like to travel? Within 3 seconds, say, I would like to visit. What is something you want to improve? Within 3 seconds, say, I want to improve. The 3-second rule prevents silent perfection. It teaches your brain that beginning is safe. Your answer can be slow after the first phrase. That is fine. You are training the launch. Imagine an airplane. The hardest part is leaving the ground. Once it is moving through the air, the journey becomes smoother. Your first phrase is the takeoff. Practice it. Do not make the time limit stressful. If 3 seconds feels too fast, begin with 5. The purpose is not panic. The purpose is to reduce unnecessary waiting. You can record questions on your phone. Leave a short silence after each one. Play the recording later and answer. This creates gentle surprise. You hear the question and respond without reading. Start with familiar topics: your day, your family, your work, your hobbies, your plans. Later, add opinions and imaginary situations. What would you do if you had 1 free month? What makes someone trustworthy? Do you think social media is helpful? Your answers do not need to be advanced. Use a simple structure. I think one reason is, for example, that is why. This structure can support many topics. Let us practice now. Do you think people spend too much time on their phones? Begin. I think. Continue. One reason is, add an example. For example, finish. That is why. You just created an organized answer from 4 familiar steps. The more often you practice this pattern, the less your brain needs to invent the structure. It can focus on the idea. This is how automatic patterns support original speech. You are not becoming a robot. You are giving your creativity a stable foundation. Think about music. A musician learns scales and common patterns. Then they use those patterns to create something new. English works in a similar way. Learn the rhythm of common responses, then fill them with your own life. Another powerful practice is retelling. Listen to a short story, watch a short video, or read a simple paragraph, then close it and explain the meaning out loud. Do not repeat the exact words. Use your own words. At first, your retelling may be very short. The video was about a man who changed his habits. That is enough to begin. Then add, he was always tired because he slept late. He decided to stop using his phone at night. After a few weeks, he felt better. This exercise trains your brain to receive meaning and produce language. That is exactly what happens in conversation. Someone shares an idea. You understand it. You respond. Retelling builds the bridge between understanding and speaking. Many learners have strong input and weak output. They listen for hours, but speak for minutes. They recognize language, but do not retrieve it. For every 10 minutes of listening, try to speak for 2 minutes. Explain what you heard. Share your opinion. Connect it to your life. If a podcast discusses confidence, say, I agree that confidence grows through practice. I used to wait until I felt ready. Now I think action creates confidence. You are turning passive English into active English. That change is essential. You may understand hundreds of videos and still freeze if you never practice creating a response. Automatic response requires output. Your voice must participate. There is another technique called one question, five answers. Choose one question and answer it 5 different ways. For example, what are you doing this weekend? Answer 1. I am staying home. Answer 2. I am going to visit my family. Answer 3. I have not decided yet. Answer 4. I may meet a friend if I have time. Answer 5. I need to work, so I will probably be busy. Why is this useful? Because real life is unpredictable. If you memorize only one answer, your confidence depends on that answer being true. But when you practice variations, the pattern becomes flexible. Flexibility is a sign of real language ability. You understand how to build the response, not only how to repeat one sentence. Use this method with common questions. How are you? What do you do after work? Why do you like learning English? What did you do yesterday? What are your plans for next year? Each new answer strengthens the same pathway while adding new language. There is something else you need to train. Recovery. Automatic speaking does not mean your mind will never go blank. Even fluent speakers forget words. They lose their direction. They change their sentence. Confidence comes from knowing how to recover. Practice these phrases. Let me think for a moment. How can I explain this? I do not know the exact word, but what I mean is, let me say that another way. These phrases keep you inside the conversation. They give your brain time without creating panic. Use them during solo practice. Ask yourself a difficult question. When you feel stuck, do not stop the recording. Say, let me think for a moment. Take a breath. Continue. You are teaching your nervous system an important lesson. A pause is not an emergency. Forgetting a word is not failure. A mistake does not end communication. The more calmly you recover in practice, the more likely you are to recover calmly in a real conversation. Now let us talk about mistakes. Many learners believe automatic speech must also be perfect speech. That belief creates hesitation. When your brain checks every sentence before speaking, automatic response becomes impossible. You need 2 different kinds of practice: fluency practice and correction practice. During fluency practice, keep moving. Do not restart every sentence. Focus on meaning. During correction practice, listen to a short recording and improve 1 or 2 things. Do not mix the 2 completely. If you try to communicate, correct grammar, fix pronunciation, choose advanced vocabulary, and judge your accent at the same time, your brain becomes overloaded. Separate the tasks. First, speak, then observe, then improve 1 thing, then speak again. Suppose you say, yesterday I go to my friend's house. During fluency practice, continue the story. Later, notice the sentence. Improve it. Yesterday, I went to my friend's house. Say the corrected sentence 3 times. Then use the pattern again. I went to my sister's house. I went to a new restaurant. I went to bed early. 1 mistake becomes a small lesson. It does not become a reason to attack yourself. This calm process builds accuracy without destroying confidence. Your emotional state matters. When you feel threatened, your mind searches for danger. You notice every mistake. You forget familiar words. You rush. When you feel safe, your brain becomes more flexible. Create a peaceful practice environment. Before speaking, take 1 slow breath. Say, I am practicing, not performing. That sentence can remove unnecessary pressure. No one is grading you. No one expects perfection. Your job is to create a response. You may also smile gently while practicing. Not because everything is easy, because your body receives a signal that the experience is safe. Confidence is partly a language skill and partly an emotional habit. You train both through repeated calm exposure. Every time you answer without running away, fear becomes a little smaller. Every time you continue after a mistake, your confidence becomes a little stronger. You can create an English response bank, not hundreds of sentences. Start with 20 useful responses. That sounds interesting. I am not sure yet. I agree with you. I do not think so. Could you explain that again? I need a little more time. That happened to me too. I have never thought about that. It depends on the situation. I understand what you mean. These are conversation tools. Practice them with imaginary situations. Imagine someone says, I want to start a new job. Respond, that sounds interesting. Imagine someone asks, "Do you want to come tomorrow?" Respond, "I am not sure yet." Imagine someone explains an idea too quickly. Respond, "Could you explain that again?" When a real situation appears, the response is already familiar. You do not create everything from zero. This is why phrase practice is so effective. Words are useful, but phrases move faster. Your brain can retrieve a familiar group as one unit. You do not build "I am not sure yet" word by word. You recognize and use the whole pattern. Build your speaking with useful groups. I would like to. I am trying to. I used to. I am looking forward to. The reason is, it reminds me of. These groups help English flow. But remember, use them in personal sentences. I am trying to wake up earlier. I am looking forward to the weekend. It reminds me of my childhood. Personal use turns a phrase into part of your voice. Now imagine your brain 1 month from today. You have answered the same 10 common questions every day. You have practiced instant reactions during your routine. You have used sentence starters. You have retold short stories. You have trained recovery phrases. You have spoken before checking every detail. What will change? You may still make mistakes. You may still need time with difficult topics, but common responses will appear faster. You will begin trusting your first sentence. You will spend less time translating. You will know how to continue when a word is missing. Most importantly, you will have evidence. Evidence that you can respond. Confidence grows from evidence. Every completed answer tells your brain, "I can do this." Every recovery tells your brain, "A mistake cannot stop me." Every short conversation with yourself tells your brain, "English is part of my life." That evidence slowly changes your identity. You stop saying, "I understand English, but I cannot speak." You begin saying, "I am training myself to respond more naturally." Then one day, you notice that the training is working. Someone asks a question, and before fear begins its long speech, your answer has already started. Maybe it is simple, maybe it is not perfect, but it is there. That moment will feel surprising. You may think, "I answered without translating," but it did not happen by accident. It was built through repetition. One response, then another, then another. Let us create a simple 15-minute routine. For the first 3 minutes, answer 5 common questions. For the next 3 minutes, react to things around you. For the next 3 minutes, retell something you watched or read. For the next 3 minutes, speak about one opinion using "I think," one reason, for example, "and that is why." For the final 3 minutes, listen to a short recording of yourself and improve one sentence. 15 minutes, that is enough to train response, flexibility, organization, and correction. Do it regularly, not perfectly, regularly. Some days you will feel strong. Some days your answers will feel slow. Do not judge the entire method by one difficult day. Your brain changes through accumulated practice. A single drop looks small, but drops fill a glass. A single response looks ordinary, but responses build fluency. Do not underestimate ordinary practice. The most powerful habits often look simple from the outside. Answering one question, using one phrase, retelling one story, correcting one sentence. But inside your brain, pathways are becoming stronger. Familiar patterns are becoming faster. Fear is losing its control. Keep going long enough for the invisible work to become visible. And remember, automatic English does not mean speaking without thought. It means you no longer waste all your thought on basic language. The common patterns arrive naturally, so you can focus on meaning. You can listen to the other person. You can notice their emotion. You can share your own ideas. That is the freedom you are building, not robotic speed, natural availability. You want English to be there when you need it, and it becomes available when you use it often. So after this video, do not immediately search for another lesson. Train one response. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? Begin within 3 seconds. I learned that. Then continue. Ask, what will I practice tomorrow? Begin. Tomorrow, I will. Ask, why is this important to me? Begin. This is important because. Do not judge the answers. Let them move. Your first sentences may be slow. Your voice may feel uncertain. That is all right. You are building the path. Every time you begin, the path becomes clearer. Every time you answer, your brain learns that English can appear without a long translation process. Every time you recover, fear becomes weaker. Every time you use simple language, confidence becomes stronger. You do not need to wait until you know more. Use what you know. You do not need to wait until you feel fearless. Respond while fear is still present. You do not need to sound like someone else. Build a voice that feels natural to you. Train your brain with patience. Give it familiar questions. Give it useful phrases. Give it real situations. Give it repeated opportunities to respond. One day, the question will arrive, and the answer will meet it naturally. Not because you were born fluent, not because English suddenly became easy, because you trained the connection, meaning to response, question to answer, life to language. That is how automatic English grows. Quietly, repeatedly, one real response at a time.